Welcome to Scale With Us, the podcast for business owners navigating the absolute chaos of scaling a business and juggling all that life throws at you along the way.
Each week, we'll be talking about our wins and fails and everything in between because let's be real, it's not all smooth scaling.
So grab a drink, settle in, and let's get into it. Oh, hi. Here we are again.
Hello. I just feel like the start's really awkward.
I know, it always feels like hard to get started, but isn't that a metaphor for life? Sometimes it's hard to get started, but once you get into it.
Yes, I know.
My 7-year-old actually had some beautiful wisdom the other day. We're talking about her doing something hard, and we're talking about how sometimes it's uncomfortable when you first do something new. She's like, oh, mummy, so is it kind of like when you jump in the pool and it's really cold at first and it feels really bad, but then like once you've been for a while, like it feels, really good? I was like, yeah,
exactly like
very
that.
Wise.
Yeah.
I think I put her on my blog actually. I was like, bye, Harriet.
Oh, that's so cute.
Oh, how are you doing? What are we drinking today?
Just on some champagne.
Yeah, celebrating our 4th episode.
Yes, very excited. We've had some great feedback, which is lovely.
They've been saying nice things about us.
Yeah, what about you?
What am I drinking?
Yeah,
Same
and thinking.
girl.
What are you thinking?
Yes, we're having a lovely tipple, and tipple, I sound like I'm 50.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? Well, it's funny because we're talking about on the way here today around, because obviously we've been sticking with our New Year's resolutions and going to the gym.
Yes.
Obviously, thanks guys, we look amazing. But the gym is just such an interesting place these days. And like we were talking about how like you go there now, it's like such a fashion parade.
And I remember the days of like, well, I still just chuck the hair up in a bun and, daggy top and some leggings. And
now it's like
it is a fashion parade. Ridiculous.
I've literally found myself getting ready for the gym and looking in the mirror going, oh, I don't look fashionable enough. Like I look like an old lady going to the gym. I mean, technically I am. I'm 39, but like I think
they wear nothing.
Oh, I know. Some of the young girls now, huh?
We do sound old.
I see a lot of butt every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like I went through like when I got into the gym, I probably was like, oh, I'm too scared to go. And then I went through a stage, I'm like, cool, I'm comfortable. Like whatever. No one's looking at anyone else. And like now I've kind of gotten that full, like, oh my God, like
I'm
I don't look
at
like
them.
that. Like,
yeah.
And it's, I think there's the ones that it's either have the matching beautiful fashionable set.
Yeah.
Or then, so there's ones that like, they're kind of like, it's like they're purposely looking like really bum-like, but they're still kind of like fashionable hot. In like a bum looking kind of way.
Yeah.
It's like, and not the bum, like I mean like, big baggy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just have no idea what to wear to the gym.
Yeah, me either.
No idea.
No.
I did wear shorts for the first time the other day.
That's
I got
good.
over my like fear that my legs were too large. So
oh, please. But how has it been going? The New Year's resolution of,
Yeah, good. Yeah, feeling good.
That's good.
Been trying to keep it up despite the madness.
Yeah.
And look, trying to drink a little bit less, but today's not really a good example of that.
As we hold our champagne.
I know. Well, it's like we've been trying to like not drink during the week because I found it's like, I don't know, over Christmas and summer, it's
a free for all. You can kind of do what you want.
God, it's such a free for all.
And the parties and
it's summer. It's a summer afternoon.
Absolutely.
Oh, wouldn't it be nice to just a summer afternoon drink?
Like in winter,
it's got earlier. We used to be like, 6 o'clock. Now it's like 4 o'clock. It's like,
3:30. Oh, doing pickup.
A quick gin before pickup. No.
But yeah, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I used to drink twice a year for like a wedding, and now it's like, I don't know if it's like an Australian working thing. It's like the Australian working culture. It's like you knock off, and it's like, oh, it'd be just nice to, have a beer. Not that I have a beer, but that's the mentality around it. It's like. Just have a drink. I remember my parents would come home from work and they'd have a drink, and it's like
it's very culture because I've gone through stages of like, the sober curious or not drinking for a while. Like I had like a lot of like health stuff for a while where with all my autoimmune stuff, I cut out booze for a while, and so
did it help or was it?
100%. Like it's like for me, I've got like I get really inflammatory with my like autoimmune and my arthritis stuff. And it's like that's definitely like alcohol, sugar, like all the fun stuff. If you cut that out, like it definitely helps from what I've got. But, it is so ingrained in our culture. Yeah.
And I think having kids, The afternoon
yes,
pickup.
just takes the edge off.
It does.
Like
Listen to us.
This is not to promote. Everyone do their own thing. You could totally do the same thing with a cup of tea or a soda water. I think it's like I said to someone the other day, it must have been a client I was talking to actually around like that, you have a drink to just unwind and just have a minute to yourself. And I'm like, I think that's what it is. I think it's like minute to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just something that's just for you because you've had people at you like all day.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure there's other more healthier habits. And like I have been trying, right? I've been trying to go like not during the week and then trying to get it back to just, a couple on the weekend.
Yeah.
Because I definitely find it, even having one or two, like it affects my sleep.
Yeah.
I get more anxious the next day. So I definitely operate better without it. But then if I have a drink, I think I'm operating better with it.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle, definitely a vicious cycle. But yes, what about you? How's your New Year's resolutions been tracking along?
Good. Gym's going well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding the time, which is amazing. I think you just learn to prioritize your time better. So where I would...
You have to plan it, otherwise it doesn't happen. Like it has to go in the diary.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen if it doesn't go in my diary.
And I have to do it in the morning. I've just decided. I tried in the afternoons, but again, I keep thinking I want it to be a thing. It just doesn't happen unless I do it in the morning. So, yeah, it's going well.
I feel like you're in a good place in business and life right now.
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
Might be a good time to reflect.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Surprise.
Okay.
We thought that today would be a good chance. We've obviously had a few episodes now and, there's going to be people that don't know you, don't know me from our, I was going to say audiences, that sounds so wanky, but like, from our communities and people that we know. So I thought that we might ask you a few questions about your business and your journey and play a drinking game every time we say the word journey.
Yes. Uh-oh. We're going to get very drunk.
We don't have enough champagne for that. But I suppose like for anyone who doesn't know Jess, actually it might be cool to talk about like how we know each other as well.
Yeah.
Because,
we're here together.
How did we meet?
Yeah.
Because I don't actually remember exactly how we got in contact, but I remember the first time we spoke on the phone because I remember exactly where I was driving. It's so funny. I remember exactly where I was driving. We spoke on the phone and you told me about starting your business.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how we got in touch though. I don't know if you reached out to me on like Instagram or something.
No, so it was...
Did someone put us in touch?
Central Coast Mums Facebook group.
Yeah.
I posted in there that I was looking for someone to do a branding shoot with because I was starting a business and Claire put us in touch.
Oh.
Because you just done a branding shoot, I think, with Claire.
Yes.
And so she... Yeah, because I was like,
my
I'm in
memory is absolutely terrible. Maybe it's
the alcohol.
We'll sort out that one later.
So then I think you reached out to me and said, oh, yeah, I'm in real estate as well. Here's my number. And then I called you, which normally I wouldn't do. If someone just gave me a random's phone number and was like, call them. Or maybe we chatted first. I can't remember. But, yeah, we spoke on the phone.
I remember exactly where I was driving back from a client at Tucley back to where I lived at Greenpoint. And, you were still working down in Sydney at that time. And, and we just
hit it off.
It's weird. That's so weird, like how it just kind of came about. And it wasn't that long ago. It was a few years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. It's funny because, like life's supposed to happen. Like if I wasn't living on the Central Coast and I wasn't, with my ex at the time and.
Would we have met?
I don't know. Well, let's hope that the stars are always destined for us to be together.
Yeah.
So obviously like I know the story of your business and how it came about. I was lucky enough to be there at the inception of it all because you were at that stage like, hey, I've got this idea and I want to do it, but I'm not sure. So, I mean, maybe start there or like a bit before that because, I think it's an interesting story. And I see a lot of posts that people be like, oh, I might be done in my property management or real estate career. Like what else can I do? And I think you've taken, a big leap and also, a new direction in creating what you've created for yourself. So, yeah. Where did it all begin?
Well,
how did we get here?
I guess, 20 odd years in the real estate world, different positions, finished school and started in reception and then worked my way up
Didn't
to
we all?
different. Yeah. I mean, where else do you start? But yeah, after 10 years or so traveling around New South Wales and Queensland, doing different positions, I ended up in Sydney because my husband joined the police force and that's his first posting was Northern Beaches. So I worked at a McGrath office, actually head office for a little while, and then got a job up in North Shore of Sydney at a big agency there. It's no longer there. It's now rebranded, but it was Chadwick Real Estate. And I loved it there. I loved working with Scott. He was, you know, the boss I was talking about. I can't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before that really
Not
pushed
the
me. No, I love Scott. He really put me in higher positions and pushed myself. And at the time I was like, what is he doing? But I look back and go, I'm so grateful. But one of the things he wanted to do from when I first started there was to offshore to the Philippines.
So it's a big rent roll, right?
Huge rent roll, yeah.
Like how much? How many managements do you reckon at the time?
Just shy of 2,000 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they'd seen like other people doing the outsourcing thing.
Yeah, it was starting to be talked about, and we talked about it for a good 3 years before we actually decided to do anything about it. And him and I went on a plane together. We jumped on a plane, went to the Philippines. There was a big group of about 20 business owners going over there to do a bit of a tour and meet some people and things. So I did that. That was really fun. We came back. A couple of months later, he said, I want you to go back. I don't know why I had to keep going over there. Like everything's done online.
I feel like an important business lady.
I've got to go check it out.
I'm going on a business trip. And that would have been before kids, or no? You would have had
before kids. Yeah, absolutely. So I was like, yeah, cool. Trip to the Philippines. So anyway, and when I got over there, I don't know what I was expecting. Actually, I do know from the start I thought I was actually going to replace myself. I thought he's going to make me train someone up to take my job. But it wasn't like that at all. It was very much, you know, I don't want any of the team here spending so much time doing admin and, you know, basic marketing with templates and things like that, data entry, that can all be done offshore. So for us, it was never about replacing jobs here. It was always about freeing up the time of, you know, the team here to focus on more, you know, dollar productive things for the office. And at the time, 5 offices, 60 odd staff, and pretty much found, you know, a role in every department. So accounts, property management, sales, admin.
Like you found a place for a VA in each of those areas. Yeah.
So we started with 5 or 6 VAs. I think it was 5 to start off with. And that was great. And we just grew on it from there. And it wasn't till a few years later. So I worked with VAs for about 8 years with Scott.
And were you managing the VA team?
I was managing the team, yeah. So obviously, you know, it was a big company, so I couldn't manage every task. But overall, I managed the VAs, and then there would be other managers in, say, the property management department that would talk to them day to day and give them tasks and things. But we really streamlined a lot of the procedures. So it was very easy for them to do and understand what to do. And I was just blown away by their, you know, their English was great. The level, their skill level was just insane. So I don't know what I thought going over there, maybe thinking like, I don't know, you think of a Telstra call centre or something where it's like their English is really bad and it's like, oh, how is this going to work? But they're university educated, great English. Like I was really surprised and such lovely people. So, yeah, well, I did that for about 8 years or so, and then got to the point. So you were working with VAs
for 8 years, like before. Yeah. And then, like, so then what was this point where, like, because obviously now we have you, founder of Agent Sync. Like,
yeah.
Because you, I think you from memory, you started it while you were still there, right? With their permission.
Yeah, yep. So Scott came to me one day and he said, I'm going to sell the business and it might take 12 months or so, but that's the plan. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And I thought I was going to work here forever. And obviously I could have gone across to the other company that purchased it, but I thought, you know, I've been working for this company and Scott for such a long time, and I've been helping him grow the business to a certain point where he can sell it for millions and millions of dollars. And I thought, I really want to make something. And I've always been a little bit entrepreneurial. Like,
in what way?
Well, growing up, I had my own nail. Like I used to drive around to people's houses and do their nails and mobile spray tans.
So you had your own business before.
Yeah. And I saw an opportunity while at Chadwick to make candles. Like they were buying these really nice candles for their open homes, And I kind of looked at it and went,
do that. I can make money off that.
yeah. I was like, they're buying them for like $50 a candle. They were like the really nice ones. And I looked online, okay, I can buy the jar for this and I can buy the wax for this and I buy the stuff. It's a bit of an outlay at the start, but then the second round, if I make 100 at a time, make, $500 profit. Yeah. So I went to Ben and said, can I do this? You're saving money. I'm learning a skill and making a bit of money. And he was like, sure, go for it. So then I started making candles for everyone. And then agents would package up candles for all their clients for Christmas and stuff. So my dad and I would make candles. So
is your dad a business owner? Like, do you have parents who are business owners?
Yeah, so my dad had his own business, for his whole, working life. He was an upholsterer.
Yeah.
So covering lounges and, car seats. And now we just go and buy a new lounge for a few $100s. But back then, if your lounge is like,
get them reupholstered.
Absolutely. So it was a big thing.
Niche market.
But I loved, like my mum managed a pharmacy down in Vincennia and she would work till 5 or 6 at night. But because Dad owned his own business, he was home every day. He ran it from home, from the garage. So I really loved that we would get off the bus at 3 o'clock and he was there. Yeah. So I think when you get closer to having kids, you start to, or even when you have kids, you're like, what can I do that I can work from home? Or, be
Such
there,
a big draw card.
Yeah, flexible. So anyway, Scott said to me, selling the business. I thought, oh God, what am I going to do? And then you
can't buy it.
No.
Don't have those millions lying around.
No. But it just so happens that one of
you probably thought about it though.
No, I didn't. No.
How could I make this work?
Yeah, no. But yeah, one of the VAs was actually leaving to move to America with her new husband. And I'd gotten to know the VAs really well. I was their manager, but also, a friend. And I knew that they really they liked working for us at Chadwick, but they didn't quite like the agency that they were employed through. So I said, okay, what are you getting paid? What's the conditions like? And then I kind of looked at the invoice they were sending us and I was like, wow, okay, something's not right here in terms of like.
Same candle exercise you applied to that?
Pretty much, yes.
Something's not adding up.
Yeah, but the fact that they didn't like who they were working for or like employed with, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can change this. So I went to Scott and I said, look, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Would you mind if I, legally worked out how to employ someone in the Philippines? You would save money, I would save money. You're not doing anything wrong by the other agency that you're with because that VA is resigning.
Yeah.
And he was like, as long as you can show me that it's all above board. And he was very much like that, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure it was all done legally and insurances and all of that. And I said, yep, no problem. So yeah, I worked out, got to work and researched and put the feelers out there and just started. And I just started with one and that was a marketing VA at Chadwick and that, yeah.
Was that Agent Sync at the time or did you had your own like employee, another company and then you created Agent Sync after that?
No, I did it right from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you must have known it was going to be something or you weren't sure?
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I was going to move into some of the coaching or even working with agents, maybe being my own VA, working from home, but doing some work for agents.
Yeah, actually, I remember our conversation now. Like it's like you were kind of like, which path do I go down?
Yeah, because I had some work lined up if I wanted it with actually one of Chadwick's competitors and I was like, oh, that it just feels a bit icky to me. I can't do that. And that's, the
especially
VA,
when you'd had someone who kind of gave you that opportunity, right? Like it's like
absolutely.
the opportunity to build your business, within another business and be okay with it. Because there's a lot of business owners who even if they were selling would not want you to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think I had worked with Scott for a very long time, almost 10 years. And we had a great working relationship of, he let me run certain parts of the business. He always knew I would do the best thing by him and vice versa. He gave me a lot of free time. And as I started to, be active on social media and other clients were coming forward, I kind of went to him and said, like, I've got to drop my hours. And he was like, oh, we're so close to selling, to it all happening. And he couldn't really replace me in that role right at the end. So much of my workday was just that knowledge of, the agents feeling comfortable and knowing how everything's done and for them to go to someone, especially at such an uneasy time. We didn't want people to get scared of what was happening and leave to go to the competitor. So he said, please just, if you can, hold on a little bit longer. So I did that. And then, finally the sale went through and I obviously didn't sign onto the other agency. But I was already up to about 50 clients by that point, 50 clients, 50 VAs. It was a lot. It was a lot of work, to do pretty much a full-time job. I remember talking to you at those times and it was like, okay, you got to let it go, but you couldn't let it go. And like the job, not the business. Yeah, and I had.
It was you had. I
had Jovi.
You had Jovi at the time, so you'd had your first.
Had my
baby.
first, return to work. My parents were, and Jovi had. She was born with a medical condition called neutropenia, which is like her body wasn't producing enough white blood cells. So we put her into daycare, and that one day in daycare put her in hospital for 3 weeks. And at the time, we didn't realise. We just thought, okay, this is, the normal daycare sickness. Everyone says, you get really sick.
You do.
And then
the first year is brutal.
It is so brutal, but we didn't know until the second day in daycare. That put her into hospital for another 3 weeks. And this is like COVID is happening as well. So in and out of hospitals. And
you're working full-time and trying to grow a business at the time as well.
And during COVID, it was just crazy. So we had to send her blood to Queensland to be tested, and then we had to have a bone marrow biopsy. Then we had to send blood to America to be tested. Anyway, there's 4 types of neutropenia. She has the one that you can grow out of, luckily. So she's a lot better now. But it was just a tricky situation to be in. We literally thought we would have to, buy a block of land and put her in a bubble because we just thought she's not going to be able to fight.
The bubble boy.
Yes, the bubble boy.
Whoa.
Because a lot of the reports and things that are online are from America, and over there, obviously their healthcare system's not as good as ours.
And so you're like, okay, prayer for the worst, we might have to go put her in a bubble.
People would get a cut on their leg and have to have their leg amputated because their body couldn't fight the infection, and it would get so bad that antibiotics wouldn't do anything.
She's so lucky then.
So lucky. Oh my God.
And she's fine now?
Yeah, she still takes a little bit longer to get over colds and things, but she's, a lot better. So
just do it like if you get the call, you probably still got that like.
I do. If Ella gets sick, we're like, oh, she's tough. She'll get over it. Anything with Jovi, we're like, oh my God, crazy.
It's funny because I was like, one of the questions I was going to ask you before is, was there in all of this, was there ever a time where you thought about giving up and stopping the business?
Yes and no. I think having a really sick daughter puts into perspective how important it was for me to have my own business and be the boss of, what sick days or what leave I took or what hours I worked. Would we have to move to the bush and her not be around other people or homeschool? That was a big thing we were considering, homeschooling. So I think it was really, I never thought about stopping, but I have definitely thought about, should I be growing this as quickly as I want to, or putting so much pressure on myself to keep growing it when it's growing really quickly.
Yeah, done amazing.
So definitely that pressure, but never like, should I not do this?
No, so you always had the resolve, like this is what we're meant to do. Yeah, for the family and everything.
Yeah.
And so like with those, like that's like a tougher time to go through. Like what pulled you through that time?
I think just her and no, but it's I think having a sick child or any a sick family member, it does put into perspective what's important and what's not, and making money is amazing and growing a business is amazing, but at the end of the day you've got a little child to raise and you want to do that as best you can. So definitely.
But the hard thing is, like, especially if she's got some chronic health issues, like money will actually be important. Like I think it's like we spoke about last week, money doesn't buy happiness, but to then have the privilege if she needed a specific kind of care or had to go to a different country to get the treatment she needed, right? If you've got the financial freedom to do
absolutely.
that, is that buying your future happiness?
Yeah.
Like sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she was actually going to need medication delivered to the local hospital every week, and we would have to go and pick it up from the hospital and give her daily injections of something that would help her create her her own white blood cells. And it was the blood test that we did to get the last baseline level to then decide the dosage. That was the one that they could see it was starting to rise by itself. Yeah. And we're like, what's going on here? And he said, we'll just hold off because it was going to be so traumatic for her. Yeah. She already hated blood tests. So to have to inject her every day was going to be very traumatic. But we just held off a couple of weeks and it started rising and it got to a certain level where they're like, okay, it's still under a little bit, but she can go to daycare and she, you just have to understand she's probably going to get sicker. Or if she's having an off day, she just needs to rest.
Yeah. Her immune system's not going to be as strong as the other kids.
Totally. Yeah. But she's been amazing. She doesn't get sick like she used to. Yeah. It was really scary there for a point of racing to hospital because we thought, we were going to lose her because she was so sick. It's crazy.
So how did you and we talked about the juggle last week, that's, we were complaining about juggling stuff now and, how did you manage to keep your business going through all of that? Because you've not only kept it going and kept the doors open, right? Like if you look at your trajectory and what you've achieved in the last few years, it's phenomenal, right? The Podcaster School scale, you've scaled your business massively throughout all of that. How did you keep your business going whilst all that was going on?
I think I'm pretty good at when I'm working, I can be pretty switched on to my work.
Compartmentalize it a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm very lucky I've got, great support in my parents. They live just down the road. They only live really close to me because that's where I live. If I lived somewhere else, they would probably be.
Do they follow you wherever you go?
Yeah, pretty much. No, they sold their house.
So when you move back to Sydney to be closer to me.
Yeah, they'll be there. No, they just love the girls so much. So they can see the potential in the business as well. So they want to support me, probably in the hopes that I'll support them with a really nice, retirement home.
Like, go work.
Yeah. Mum's like, as long as I've got
millions.
As long as I've got some wine. But yeah, they're great in looking after the girls while I can do some work. If, like a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, I was saying my daughter was sick. It's only so happened my dad had an eye surgery. He couldn't look after them that day, but I could have easily called them and said, can you go and pick up the girls from daycare?
Yeah, they're there for that.
They're there, yeah.
Which is hard. I mean, not everyone has
totally
that.
So lucky.
That's, I think, if you think does luck come into it? We talked about working hard and the success. I think that is a bit of luck, who your support network and family, because you can't choose your family. So it's awesome that you've got a good family and they've got you through those darker moments, but that they're also, helping you through this time now. As it's obviously she's better and you're in a massive phase of, scale and growth right now. What do you find the most challenging about scaling and growing a business now?
I think it's probably the hardest thing for me is, it has grown very quickly. I did, I was still working a full-time job for the first year pretty much. And in that year, it was 220,000 in revenue. And then the second year was 400 times that. So it grew massively. And I think it's probably my mindset that's had to try and play catch up a little bit. Because I never would have thought that.
Oh, I actually have a big business.
Yeah,
making money.
And to see that
a little
money.
Hobby. It's not making candles.
Yeah, it's not making candles.
It's not 500 here and there. It's bigger scale.
Yeah, a much bigger scale. So, yeah, I think I feel like there's probably some certain steps that I have missed having to.
What do you think?
like I mentioned before, the whole leadership piece, I don't feel like I'm there. But it'll come, and I probably am there. But again, I just think, some days I think I
don't think anyone knows what they're doing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true.
I don't know if like Richard Branson went to leadership school. I don't know. I haven't read his book, but
yeah, who knows?
He's like, there's some people who are more naturally born at it, right? And that's like when you said that the other week, like, I don't know, like I think I would say that you are a good leader. You're a great leader. And like you have more than anything, you have the ability to like pause and reflect, you know, and I think reflection is a really key, important leadership trait.
Yeah.
So to be able to go, okay, what can I do differently? What can I learn? Like, how can I look at this differently? And, you know, seeking help like you do sometimes, like, oh, hey, I've got this challenge. Like, you're not trying to struggle it alone. You recognize sometimes you need to bounce those ideas off someone. I
also try and put it back onto my team quite a lot in not a bad way. Like everyone, you know, deal with their own stuff. It's like they need to.
You deal with your shit.
Yeah. you want them to grow as people and enjoy the job that they're doing. So if they're growing as people and learning things, then like, you know, you're only getting the benefit out of that as well. So everyone wins. But I like to, and I think I said it a couple of weeks ago, my team, you know, they mean a lot to me, and I want other people to have great teams, whether it's here or offshore. It's like if you work hard at supporting the people that you've got in your company, they will work hard for you. And I haven't scaled my business by myself. I've needed a team, and I couldn't think of anything worse than treating them like dirt, or like, you know, they're real people with families. They've chosen to work for you. Like, show them.
Like anyone, offshore or onshore.
Yeah,
like
show them you care. And I just try and be myself. And sometimes we'll have a team meeting. I'll be like, I don't know, guys. Like, what do you all think? Where are we going wrong? What can we change? They're the ones working in that, you know, that department every day, or that doing that bit of work. So I don't know, some days I feel like I just post a couple of things on social media, have a couple of meetings. And it's like, you guys are doing the recruitment part every day. What can we change? What's not working? Like, you tell me. I can make the change. I can make things happen, but I need to know what's going on in the trenches so I can fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could actually teach a lot of other people some leadership lessons the more I think about it. Probably like then reflecting, aside from maybe putting leadership aside, like if you could like go back and do anything differently, like what would you do differently if you had your time again to start and scale a business, or your business in particular?
I would probably, I found it quite easy to bring on, and this might not resonate with some people, but it was quite easy to bring on clients. Lead gen marketing can come quite easily to me, or this type of business, I'm not sure. But I think the bit that's probably let us down a little bit is that client retention, like working individually with each client for a little bit. I just assumed that most people were like me, or most business owners were like me, and, you know, they're bringing on a new team member. They've done it here on shore. They've got a team of 5. You know, they know how to onboard. They know how to communicate with their team, but clearly not a lot of them.
They don't.
Yeah. So I think, that whole, we've had client success
the assumption
managers.
that like, everyone would know how to hire and onboard and retain team members.
Yeah, like we would have some clients come to us and say, you know, I would really love the VA to do this. And I'm like, have you spoken to them about it? Like, I just assumed that everyone would have the same level of care and respect and want the team to succeed, or want their VA to succeed, or try hard with that VA. And look, if it's not working, we can replace the VA. That's not an issue. But when they give it a couple of weeks and go, nah, it's just offshoring's not for me. Why? Like, why hasn't that worked? So I think that's where this year will be a huge focus on the client resources hub, more one-on-ones, more coaching, you know, if I look back at my time at Chadwick, I was the manager of all the VAs, not Scott. Scott would say hello every now and again. And quite often it's the business owner that signs up to Agent Sync, but it's actually the managers in the office that spend the day-to-day with them. So what can we do to help support that manager?
Because it's hard to like manage remote teams.
Yeah.
Like
they're not
it's hard
right
to
there
manage,
sitting
it's hard
next
to
to
manage
you.
a team that's
Yeah.
sitting next to you, like let
Just
alone
people
when you
in
can't see
general.
them every day. I mean, I struggle with that
Yeah.
every day. It's like, have I checked in with them enough? Like, have I been responsive enough?
Yeah.
It's like just in your reflection previously on like, oh, you think like you want to fill that leadership gap. It's like it's almost like it's like bigger than you. There's a leadership gap that you've noticed in
100%. Yeah.
like the clients that you're working with
Yep.
as well.
And I just think for any business owner, if they're wanting to grow their business, even maintain the level of revenue that they've got coming in, they're going to need support to do that. So when they say, oh, it's the VA's not working out or, you know, whatever it may be, I think what's the alternative though? You're going to hire someone here in Australia, which is fine if that's what you want, but that's not any better for your profit margin. So why don't we work with the VA, get them up to scratch, get a new one, whatever it may be, but
it could be the person, yeah. Like it
absolutely
could be their processes. Yeah.
Totally. So yeah.
So what do you think, you could talk to Bella about like where you've come from. Like what does success for Agent Sync look like, right? Like if you fast forward, like how do you know, okay, cool, I've built a successful business. Is it something you want to exit from at some stage? Like what does success look like, right? Because we can keep working hard and pushing. But what are you working towards success-wise?
That's a tricky one because when I started Agent Sync, I was like, if I could just cover my corporate salary, like $100K a year.
The first goal.
That was, I was like $5,000 a month. That's what I was making at Chadwick. Like if I could cover that, I did that within the first month. And I was like, okay, but obviously $5K revenue isn't really, you've got to pay the VAs, you've got, you know, software platforms and things. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, $10K. And then it was like, $15K and $20K. And I never thought in the second year of business it would grow 400%. Never. And I just want to keep growing it. I don't have an end goal in sight. I'm just excited. I mean, I don't have an end goal. I've got a goal for this year. But yeah, I don't know. I want to be, you know, I want Agent Sync to be Australia's #1 outsourcing provider for sure. I think.
That's a good goal, like that.
Yeah. I just think they're so incredible to work
for
with.
real estate or?
It just in general, in the world.
Yeah, because a lot of people may not know, like you specialise in real estate, but you do also operate in many other industries as well.
Yeah, 50% of our client base isn't real estate. So we've got lawyers, we've got accountants, we've got a florist, we've got we've got so many different businesses. It's crazy. But I started off thinking, I'm just going to do real estate because that's my background, 20 years of real estate.
What you know.
It's what I know. I feel really comfortable in talking about it. An agent could come to me and go, I need support, and I would know exactly everything a VA would need to do. But as I started getting people come to us from other industries and I looked at the tasks that they needed a VA to do, and it was all admin, you know, marketing, social media, data entry, that's not different. It's really not. It's all the same sort of stuff. So as long as we're
recruiting the right person for the right role.
Yeah, and that's what we really focused on in that huge second year of growth was like our recruitment process. We need to be finding the right people for the role, and it's not for us. And I know some other outsourcing companies will try and find the cheapest VA they can and train them up in a couple of things and, you know, pay them really poorly. For us, we're looking for the best and we pay them well. But that's because they've worked hard. They've learnt the skills. It's like here in Australia, it's like, if, you know, you're spending $100K on a marketing person, it's like, well, they haven't just finished high school. They've done the work to earn that.
Yeah.
And it just makes it so much easier for that business owner to say yes to that candidate if they've got experience in the task, in the role, in the platforms that they're, been using for years.
Yeah.
It's like, how easy is it to go to a property management owner and say, this VA has 5 years property me. They've worked for Ray White wherever for how many years. It's so much easier.
It reduces, it's that impact of what's that value to the client. It's like a massive saving in time spent onboarding and training someone in those areas or softwares that you need. Is there anything else that like people might not know about agency? Because I think a lot of people might not have known that. Is there anything else that people might not know about
When I started agencying, I created a freelance platform, and I wanted to take on Upwork or Fiverr as, Australia's only outsourcing platform. And we created it and it was great. And I thought, okay, I've either got to find investment for a lot of money for marketing to really push it out there. It's not a platform where you jump on and there's hundreds of people to choose from, like, Fiverr, or you've got hundreds of thousands, probably millions now of people all around the world. We've just got 30 VAs on there that we've checked
and
their
do
work.
tasks and projects,
So it's more just a one-off project. But as time went on and we were getting clients using that and VAs on there, it's going to take a lot of volume because we don't actually make a lot of money off it. All of the money pretty much goes to the VA. And I thought, for the tiny jobs that we're getting put on there, $50 Canva design, it's like it's not worth a lot of, and it's still running in the background. It's been a great downsell for people that aren't ready for our lowest package.
Yeah, they can go like a little data project done. Or
totally, so that's still there. Maybe a lot of people don't know that that's there because I don't really advertise it much on socials or anything anymore. I don't want to be known as like just the VA
platform
for,
Yeah, you want people to invest in it and look at it as a resource.
I want the full-time clients with the full-time VAs. That's when it works really well, when you've got someone in, your virtual office, I guess, that's full-time. They don't have to work a second job or try and juggle all these different clients because they've, are grateful that they've got the full-time work. The business owner, has that consistency of work and so that's what works well. So that's what I wanted to focus on. And now we've got 2 levels of VAs. We've got our essentials, our essential package, which is like, your general VA or social media VAs, data entry, and then you've got elite. So elite is more your general managers.
Like senior level, management level.
Senior level. We were getting a lot of website.
I have one. They're great.
Yeah.
Hi, Grace.
And hi, Grace. I have a couple. Sheila, she's been amazing. That's one of the reasons why I created the 2 packages, because when I got Sheila, I was like, wow.
She was operating at a different level, which is like, it's like a staff member, right?
Absolutely.
It's someone who's a junior versus
There's
a
still
senior.
people, right? So it's like, you can have amazing VAs and they're really great at some tasks. But if you're wanting to grow your team or you've got higher level tasks that maybe in Australia it's like you would pay someone 100K or 150K, 200K, like crazy amounts, or you can get an elite level and they can run your whole business. Like that's where the real growth in my business took place. When I got Sheila, I was like, wow, this is next level.
So much.
Yeah, next level. So I was like, everybody, and she laughs at me because I'm like, let's call it the Sheila package. Everybody needs a Sheila. And then, she was like, you've got to
funny
stop.
Because it's like Sheila's such a like Aussie word for just like a battler kind of battler kind of woman.
Yeah, totally.
All right, I'm going to ask you one final question.
Sure.
Obviously, you show up really well online. You've got a really strong personal brand. I know a lot of people struggle with that, with like self-doubt or imposter syndrome and the confidence. So like what would be your advice to get past any of that self-doubt and fear and just put yourself out there?
You've just got to do it, I think. If having
just dive in that water.
Yeah, like if having a personal brand and growing your business is something that's really important to you, you just have to start. And I look back, and I'm sure you do too, but you look back at really old reels and posts and you kind of cringe. But at the time, it was one step further to growing your personal brand, or, we've got potential clients that come to us all the time and, I saw Jess on an ad, or I saw, Jess seems really authentic, and I'm like, I'm just being myself. And that's what I think growing a personal brand is. You can't fake it. It is what it is. And I think, 2025 and beyond is, rocket emoji for ChatGPT, but truly it's where if businesses aren't going to do that, get a great social media manager to do it for you, because
it's hard for them to replicate your voice and your know
really
what you
is
know.
Hard.
Yeah. Well, it's fun putting you in the hot seat today. We will just do our final wild card. We're just going to ask you this question because it's your session.
Sure.
Are you ready? And then we'll wrap it up. Ooh, interesting. I'm interested to hear the answer to this. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Oh, geez.
I know one thing we probably don't want to talk about on the podcast.
We've talked about it. And we have the same one. Oh, geez.
Should we just say that one?
No. Let's not.
DM someone will tell you.
Yeah. Probably maybe my mindset a little bit, I guess, in terms of not feeling confident, not feeling like I'm doing the best, when realistically, if I look back at the last 2 years and what I have done, and I haven't done it alone, and I think quite often, I get people saying, oh, how do you do it all? How have you grown your business? How have you scaled so quickly? And I have a great team, and, it has helped me massively because I can't do it all. And I don't know if I'm portraying this person that can do everything online, but I absolutely can't. But I think I am probably a bit too hard on myself sometimes.
That's what you'd like to change.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's very mature.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's like a good interview answer.
Yeah.
We'll get the real answers out after a few more cocktails.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing a bit more of your deeper side of your journey. I'm sure you've spoken about it on a few podcasts before, but it was good to unpack that a little bit more. But thank you again for everyone for tuning in. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast and share this episode with someone that you might think would like it. We'd love to catch up with you next week. Thanks guys.
Bye.
Bye.